Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Pete asked me to do this presentation in German, but I decided to do it in English because there are not so many Germans in the house today. And like what Kirsty said, that we give people our freedom back on the public roads. That's exactly what we do. And we do that in a legal way because people can give people their freedom back on the public roads in many ways, but you always have to obey the law. So that's what we most of the time do with our products. And our statement is know what's out there. Everybody wants to know what's out there because if you drive on a dark road, you always want to see miles ahead, kilometers ahead, in order to take your countermeasures in time. And what I'm going to tell you today is who we are, the history of the company. The BluEye 2, which is on the market for about 3 years now, the BluEye 2 that will come in November of this year. We will explain you how BluEye works, the legal aspects of the products, of course, and then Tetra radio, that is what we call in the Netherlands C2000. The United States has a similar system, but it's different in many important ways, which is P25. And we show you Tetra today and the future, what is happening today, what's going to happen in the future. Does everything stay as it is or will it change? And we will show you a short video with the BluEye feeling. How does it feel to have a BluEye system in your car and to know what's out there? And then, of course, we will talk about the LaserTrack system, which we also display on our booth today. The most important laser guns, how they work, how does LaserTrack flare work, and the laser guns today and in the future, and some legal aspects, of course, of LaserTrack. About us. Track Technology is a company that innovates. We come up with new ideas like BluEye. There was no BluEye system in the market until 15 years ago, and we came to the idea to develop a system like that. We succeeded in that, and we called it BluEye. We make ideas come alive. We're also developers. We have our own engineering team, hardware and software, most of them embedded software engineers. And these are the people that make our products from prototype to product. And we are manufacturers. When we talk about BluEye and LaserTrack, we don't talk about products that are manufactured in China, but we talk about products that are manufactured in our own country, in the Netherlands. And that's where we use the tulips for, of course, because windmills and tulips and wooden shoes, it's all Dutch stuff. Our products are manufactured in the Netherlands. The history of Track Technologies actually started as the history of Target Automotive. In 1999, we came to the idea to introduce the Laser Echo 850, which was originally a product from the United States. And I don't know who's from the United States here today. You maybe remember the name LaserTrack from the past, which was one of the first companies in the United States that was designing and manufacturing a laser jammer that was able to jam police laser speed readings. And we also did distribution at that time of the Beltronics radar detectors in the European market. In 2003, we decided to introduce our own product, which was the LG LaserTrack 400. And we introduced it as a remote control, and that was purely for legal reasons. Jamming police laser is legal in most of the United States, but it's not in Europe. It's obstruction of justice, and it can bring you in trouble. 2013, we came to the market with the Target BluEye. And in the beginning, it was a product that nobody knew what it was doing. We had quite some work to convince people that it was a product that they could use to be aware of the emergency services. If they are in your neighborhood, you can make space for them, that they can pass you. But it is also a product that gives you the missing link in your vehicle when you want to know where the police is. It can be very handy. And it is the world's first and only emergency service warning system. 2017, the introduction of LaserTrack Flare, the world's smallest and most advanced remote control, and I come on the side effects of the product later on in the presentation. And 2025, today. Actually, in a couple of months from now, we are going to introduce the BluEye Go, which is a portable version of the BluEye system. You can take it with you from car to car. Has the same smart technology as the BluEye 2, but it's portable, no installation needed. It's plug and play in any car, and it's an experience of freedom if you have that product. Here you see the pictures. On the left-hand side is the BluEye 2. It's an installed product. And on the right-hand side, you see the BluEye Go. We have a system with us. It's a prototype. But if you're interested, we can show you more of the details later on. How BluEye works. Well, BluEye is a receiver that receives tetra radio signals transmitted by mobile radios of the emergency service. And tetra stands for terrestrial trunked radio. It's a protocol for digital communication, and it's encrypted, so it's not possible for people with radio scanners to pick up the contents of the messages. Tetra, its technical detail, allows 8 users to have 4 different conversations on one radio channel. It's all digital, it's all in packages, so they can do much more on these frequencies than on the analog frequencies in the past. The reason that we pick up the emergency services is because as soon as the radio is connected to the network, it sends out very small bursts of pulses every 4.08 seconds. And the pulse is very short, it's only 2 milliseconds. So if you had the old-fashioned scanners in the past, and I think a lot of things change nowadays, but these scanners were always too slow to pick up the 2 millisecond channel that was only present for a very short time and on different frequencies. Well, these 2 milliseconds pulses is the reason why BluEye is able to detect emergency service radios, even when they're idle, because if you use a radio for communication, you press the key, you have a conversation going on, there is a continuous signal in the atmosphere, on the radio, in the spectrum. But these 2 milliseconds are always there when the radio is connected to the network. So even if they don't speak, the radios are idle, we pick them up. Tetra has different names over Europe. Europe is one community. We believed many years ago it's not, because they find it necessary to give it different names all over the continent. C2000 in the Netherlands, Airwave in the United Kingdom, Astrid in Belgium, and BD Bos in Germany, and so on in many other countries. What makes BluEye so advanced? It is the fact that we receive 800 channels at the same time. And no scanning is required for that. In fact, BluEye contains 800 separate radio channels in one receiver, as we cannot afford to miss even one single pulse from a tetra radio in a neighborhood. People always ask us a question if you drive with a radio, with the BluEye on board. How does that work? Is it working like a radar detector? Does it give me a warning when I approach an emergency service in front of me? No, it's different. BluEye is working not as a radar detector or GPS database for sources in front of you. It's working omnidirectional. So 360 degrees around you, you pick up the signals from the emergency service radios. So if you have the system in your car for the first time, you have to get used to it, because the source can be everywhere. Well, then we have some information of driving in urban areas or rural areas. There's a threshold setting on the system. You can make it less sensitive for urban areas. You can make it more sensitive for rural areas. All of these settings are available on the product. And the LED or the graphics on the LCD screen give you a clear warning of the distance that you're traveling from the emergency service. And the adaptive sound option, which we have integrated about a year or two ago, gives you, even if you don't look at the display, a clear warning of how far the source is away from you. Because if the source is far away from you, you get a single beep. If it comes closer, you get a double beep. And if you're on top of it, you get a triple beep, and you know by hearing the sound that you're very close to an ambulance, police vehicle, or a fire engine. A question that everybody is asking us, is the product legal? Because when we introduced it in 2013, we had some reviews from TV broadcasting stations that said, hey, this is a handy device for criminals. This is a handy device for burglars or for drugs dealers. And that was actually how it all started. Not what we meant, but it was the way it started, and people were alarmed for a very, very dangerous product. Well, that was not the reason we designed it. And BluEye is legal because governments in the world have been looking for decades to find a way to warn drivers in time for approaching emergency services without results. And Target BluEye, in fact, is the solution. That's what we say to the world outside. It is the solution, and due to the well-isolated vehicles, people that are playing music when they're driving, they sometimes don't even hear the signals from the emergency services. Late or too late. And as a result, they start to panic to make place for the emergency services. With the BluEye, it's not necessary, because about 1,000 meters in advance, you know that an emergency service is approaching, and you can make space in time without panicking. And a fact of today's traffic is that too many emergency services are involved in accidents. And if you have a BluEye, you know where they are, and there is not even the slightest risk on an accident, because you're warned in advance. BluEye warns in times for these approaching vehicles. BluEye cannot differentiate between fire engines, police vehicles, or ambulances, and that is the legal escape of a product. Imagine that we would be able to make a differentiation, or to say to the driver, this is a police vehicle, this is an ambulance. Then governments in the world would be very successful in trying to ban the system, because they say this system is a police detector. It's not. We can't differentiate, and that's the escape for the product. And BluEye increases your safety, your own safety, the safety of the emergency services and the other road users. It's not a police detector, although many of our customers use it as a police detector. Good. Tetra today and in the future. Right now, Tetra is in the band of 380 to 430 megahertz. That is used for tactical communication with a nationwide coverage in all European countries of almost a full 100%. Tetra will be replaced in the future, but that will be somewhere around 2030, 2035 by a new dedicated mission-critical network. And this network will be a so-called long-term evolution network on an IP basis in a dedicated radio band, 700 megahertz. According to the industry, Tetra may remain available as a backup even after 2035. And the reason that I'm saying that is that people are sometimes asking, how long can I use the system? If there will be a follow-up for the system, if there comes a new system, can I use my BluEye? Well, for the next 5 to 10 years, without a problem, you can rely on your BluEye. Of course, we want to give you the BluEye feeling. This is the BluEye Go in action. This is our promotional video, and that gives you a good impression of how the system works in your vehicle. Yeah, only a few days left for pre-orders. We have a pre-order action together with our customers, and that means that you can pre-order the system until September the 19th. We had an extended time for pre-ordering, but then you can ask Pete for more details, of course. I'm looking at my watch. I see I'm pretty much running out. I have a LaserTrack presentation. What we also could do, we go outside in a while, in a few minutes, to do a presentation there. I can make a quick start. Okay, yeah. I should help it a bit. Do I have some time left? Good. Thanks, Pete. LaserTrack. What can I say about LaserTrack? LaserTrack, in fact, is an ordinary police laser jammer. Laser jammers are in use in the world since 1996, and it's the most mean speed measuring device, in fact, because police officers can measure your car's speed or your motorcycle speed on a distance of even 1,000 meters with some optical enhancements. You don't even see them, they see you. And what you can't do is you can't anticipate on it. That's why LaserTrack came around the corner, and LaserTrack is a device that has a receiver and a transmitter in one unit. And when a police laser gun is pointed at your vehicle or your motorbike, you get a warning, and for a certain time frame, which can be 6 seconds, it's adjustable in the settings. You can make yourself invisible by transmitting a signal back to the police laser gun. Why do you smile? Okay. Sounds good. He recognizes this thing. Yeah. I'm improvising a little bit because otherwise we run out of time. I can easily talk for 2 hours about these subjects because I have my own stories, I have the stories of our customers. Most important thing is all our customers have a big smile on their face when they're saved by one of our products. It happened to me a few times too, but when I start talking about that, then we can better have some beers and make it a late night show. LaserTrack is making you safe against two most important laser systems in the world. The handheld laser guns. Most of you, maybe everybody, if you know these handheld laser guns, here they are. Police officers standing on a bridge here at the A16, they do that quite often, I understand from Monique. And they shoot you at a distance of 6, 7, 800 meters. You don't even know that they're there. And then when you pass the bridge, they come after you and they have your speed. And depending on how fast you were going, you may even lose your license. These are the handheld guns, but you also have automated laser guns. Here they are. Similar gun mounted on a vehicle, but also a system which is used very often in Germany, which is the Vitronic laser. And the Vitronic laser are rotating lasers. You see 4 sections on the pole here. And behind every section, there can be a laser gun installed, which is not only measuring your speed, it's also measuring your distance to the people that you have in front of you, and it's measuring the red light, the people that drive through the red light. They can do that with a pinpoint security and accuracy, and it's very hard to ignore them. If you have a LaserTrack, you still have to obey the rules, but at least you can't be surprised by them because LaserTrack is giving you a clear warning in time. How LaserTrack works. If you want to know how LaserTrack works, you first have to know how a police laser gun works, because a police laser gun is nothing more than a distance reading instrument. It's making a distance reading between the spot where the officer stands and your vehicle. And say that is 200 meters. It does a second reading, you're coming closer to the agent, to the officer, and it is 95 meters. And that then goes on and on with about 6, 7, 8 samples. And out of these samples, the gun can calculate the speed that you have been driving over time. And then you get your warning or your ticket. Well, that is here the distances, and the distances in a certain time frame are used to calculate the speed. It takes only 0.5 seconds, so it's gone, it's happening without you even knowing it. How LaserTrack avoids speed reading? Well, it recognizes the gun being used. We have a database in the system with over 40 different laser guns that are used in the Netherlands and the United States. And as soon as the unit is detecting a certain laser gun from manufacturer A with type C, it automatically plays the right file from the database to fire that signal back to the laser gun. That means the laser gun doesn't even know it's jammed. It only gives a message that says, hey, you moved your gun too much, or there's not enough reflection coming back from the vehicle. The officer isn't even suspicious about it. And he tries it on another gun. Your system stops jamming after a certain time frame, 5, 6, 7 seconds. Of course, you drive the right speed, and the officer is just aiming at car number 2 for today, and you're safe. Is it legal? We talk about that later on. Here you see an important factor, the opening angle of a police laser gun. And that answers the question, how many transponders, how many of these laser heads do you need on the vehicle to be safe on a certain distance? Here you see a car, say on a distance of about 500 meters. Here is the 500 meters on the gun. The beam actually is about 1 meter wide on 500 meters distance. It's 400 meters, it's 80 centimeters wide. You see the projection on the car, it's getting smaller. 300 meters looks like this, and you can see that still in the middle of the car. If you have a transponder over here, you're still fine. But when you come closer, this is 200 meters, you see that one transponder in the middle of your car is not safe at all, because if the officer is aiming on one of the headlights, this transponder is not going to save you. So now you have at least to install 2 transponders in the front of the vehicle. So the shorter the distance, the more tricky it will be for a laser jammer to jam the police laser gun. So that's why you may need 2 and sometimes even 3 heads on the front of a car to protect yourself on a small distance against the laser gun. Here is a rule how to divide the transponders on the front of a car. This is quite a technical story. You draw a letter V from the center of a headlight to the center of the license plate to the center of the other headlight, and you install 2 transponders halfway the legs of the letter V. That's the best instruction, the best installation on a vehicle you can have. Well, something about the future and the situation today about laser. We have a very fast microprocessor in our transponders, so we are ready for today and for the future. New laser guns in the market will be added to the library where I was speaking about, and then the legal aspects. Here it is. That's why we introduced LaserTrack as a remote control, because as a remote control, it's legal worldwide. It works as a remote control. We have the equipment for the fence or for the garage door. Very handy, up to 50 cars can drive in, and all with their own security code. And jamming laser guns in Europe will be considered as obstruction of justice. It's not allowed to jam police laser. I had a conversation with a lawyer about 20 years ago, and he had a smile on his face, and he said to me, Jan, you're a great guy, but all the products you have a side effect. You have a remote control, it jams laser. You have an emergency service warning system, it's a police detector. Yeah, sure, that is what we do for our customers. As you said in the beginning, we give people our freedom back on the public roads. And if you are ever pulled over by a police officer, you can always set the system back to the factory settings. So if your system was programmed to jam police laser, which is not allowed, and you want to be 100% sure, you press one of the buttons on the system, and the system goes back to factory settings and is a remote control only. So no discussion possible. We all want to know what's out there. And don't we all want our freedom back? Actually, that is what we stand for. And now you and your customers can. Are there any questions? Did I express myself so clear?
Very clear.
Yeah. Okay, well then I want to say, if there's no questions, thank you for your attention and for being here today.